We are live. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And as many people pointed out that I am such a very serious homophobe and racist, I thought I'd invite my friend Michael Robinson to the chat, who is a gay man married to a black man. So fuck all you motherfuckers. Anyway, no, how you doing, man?
I love it. Love it, man. How you been, bro?
I've been good, man. How was your Thanksgiving, dude?
You know what? It was actually probably one of the better Thanksgivings. It's just chill. Be like laid back, chill, hang out with the kids. You know,
what does chilling look like? What does chilling look like with a house full of monkeys and like 12 children? What the fuck does that look like?
You know what? Watching movies, hanging out, goofing. I don't know any different, right? I just didn't have work clients and my phone wasn't ringing. So that's chill to me.
Who cooks the food for that many people?
Right here.
Damn, bro. Damn.
Right. As a matter of fact, they asked for an encore. So tomorrow night, I'm redoing an entire Thanksgiving dinner again. So
they better be helping you. I hope you don't have to clean a dish or anything like that.
I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust them, man. You know what I'm going to do? This is the craziest thing. I just saw this deal because I've never done it before. Because I always brine the turkey overnight. And this year I did a brine, but we did a bourbon brine. So it was absolutely
nice.
Rich, like amazing olive oil, whole nine, like super, super amazing, right? But I'm going to butterfly a 12-pound turkey. I'm going to pan sear it with butter, right? So just get it real good. And then we're going to throw it in the oven with this incredible, it's like a miso vinaigrette. It's unbelievable. So I'm kind of excited. I like to cook. So I'm all for it.
Do you have a smoker?
I don't. And you know what? My kids, we did a while back and we did a lot of that. My kids don't enjoy it that way. And I don't know. I've just never, also, I'll be honest, I don't have the patience to use the smoker long term. Like if it takes me more than, if I can't throw it in the oven, right? See, I don't want to babysit it. Throwing it in the oven.
It's a redneck. It's a redneck thing, and there's normally beer involved too.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, it's normally like an all thing.
I do love a fried turkey. Right. I absolutely love a fried turkey. Inject it with all the good stuff. Throw it in there. It's decadent. It's absolutely amazing. But right now, if I even eat like fried foods or all that kind of stuff, man, I'm going to be sick for like a week. It's not going to flow.
Yeah. I like fried turkey. Okay. Like I lived in the South for more than half my life. So you learn to love it but I gotta be real, man. Like, this year we went and got an Airbnb by my son. So I didn't have my full kitchen or anything like that. So we just we made a nice turkey in the oven. We did all the sides. It was great. But in years past, man, I would just I would start the smoking of the turkey at like 6 a.m. Right. So like right at like 2 p.m. It's like the crust is beautiful. I put like 4 pounds of butter up underneath the skin too. So the crust is amazing. And it just melts, man. So I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving. And again, man, I don't know how you pull it off with that many kids. Because God,
dude, I guess I don't know any different, right? Like growing up, I'm one of 5 kids, so we were like a big family anyway. But I was telling my second oldest, she's back with us, and my granddaughter, and just really cool. But I was reminding her because she's been out of the house for a long time, and it was different because I've got grandmothers who've passed and grandfather who's passed, and then family that's moved out, just changes as generations change. And, those old traditions as one generation dies out, right? The anchor changes. So you kind of reset your traditions to some extent. And I literally sat down and made a list. And up until about the time I was probably 15, 16 years old, when my family would gather at Thanksgiving, that we would go to my great grandmother's house, there would be, and this is literally my great grandmother, my grandparents, a couple of great aunts and uncles, right? And then my aunts, uncles, cousins, all that kind of stuff with my siblings. There would be 79 people at my grandmother's house. And her house was 1,100 square feet, bro. Like, you look back, it's so funny, but you see those old things. Because I remember like the old couch, and my great uncle used to sit there. He smoked 17 packs of cigarettes, and my great grandfather have his pipe lit, and they cooking everything. My grandmother fried everything: fried green tomatoes, fried turkey, fried this, fried that, fried macaroni. But she fried it in beef tallow and bacon grease and It was one of those things growing up, you know, when we've obviously talked about a lot with food.
Right.
Like I really markedly remember like that generation. My grandmother fried. I mean, everything she ate was fried.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I was always like, she wasn't big and fat. She never had major health problems. She didn't have heart issues. She didn't have diabetes. Like, what the heck, man? Like, you know, because I grew up in the generation with the stupid food pyramid, and you eat that stuff, you're going to die, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know it was the real food, not the manufactured. You know, as you get older, you learn those things. So, but
Exactly.
anyway,
We'll see what RFK does about all that shit here soon too. I still don't. I have high. I don't have a lot of hope that he's going to get like actually put through, like
right.
without recess appointments. This is it's tough, but I do hope. That's for fucking sure. I really do.
Here's the thing. Like I was even thinking, because once a day, I always sometimes I have this thing cup. It's Coke Zero, right? It's my one like kind of thing that I love to do. Of course, that's a little better. It's not great, right? It's not the most amazing thing you can put in your body. But if he could pull off the whole Coke and Pepsi thing and get him to go back to cane sugar, it won't be Coke Zero for me. My guilty pleasure will be a real Coke, you know. And
still, that's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because I don't agree with him on that, you know,
right?
Like, because here's the thing: if we switched over to sugar, it's not going to stop diabetes any, you know,
No.
Like, and I understand that like there's this want to not have like. And don't get me wrong, I'm 100% down with RFK, 100% down. But and people that are easily like that are on the Trump train or whatever, like if you're easily offended by this, just listen and understand. Like he is taking a very legislative concept to making America healthy again, and it's absolutely needed. Like vaccine, you know, like pharmaceuticals should not be advertised on TV. If you go to your doctor and say, hey, I want to try this medication because of this, your doctor is either negligent for not having you on it, or he's a drug dealer if he gives it to you.
Right.
You know, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's logic. It's common sense. That's what we don't do anymore. But you're not going to legislate away people wanting to fucking face fuck themselves with food every day.
No.
You know, like that's
a habit thing, right? It's like I literally just had this discussion with my 90-year-old grandmother yesterday, right? She was back in town and we were sitting down and visiting, and but I was talking because my youngest son, you know, for folks who have never seen me on here before, whatever, I'm divorced. You know, my ex-wife, of course, we co-parent well, but during the week he's at home with her, and then she works and she's not there a lot, and he loves junk food and whatnot, and so he probably needs to lose like 20 pounds, and you know, we push him, but I'm not there every minute of the day to try to do that stuff. And you know, I stepped back, my grandmother had the same reaction. She goes, he can't tell us what to put in food, what not to put in food. I said, well, they kind of do anyway. Like he's trying to at least make better choices, but we had the same discussion. And I told her, I said, for me personally, looking at it, if I can't necessarily be in control of every moment and everything, which I mean, we can't anyway. Parents can't. We love to think we can. Whether I'm divorced and there's two households or not, it doesn't matter. You can't be in every moment. But I was like, maybe, just maybe, some of those little changes will help some of those health things. He's still young enough to kind of curb what's going in, at least, and then teach him those healthy habits, right? Don't eat that crap. And he knows when he's at my house, he doesn't get it. You know, he comes over, he's like, can I have a little bit of fruit? Can I have a little bit of this? You know, he's not going to the pantry and pulling out a bag of chocolate chips and eating half of it. You know, it's like,
that also means he knows the difference, right?
Exactly.
But the thing is, I think it will help. But it's not going to solve our problem. The problem is cultural. We culturally are a gluttonous people right now. You know what I mean? Like in lots of ways.
Yep.
And it's such a huge undertaking. That's why I got so emotional when he first said it. And don't get me wrong. I really agree with everything he says. A lot of what he says is what I've been saying for 5 or 6 years. You know, I mean, I've had people reach out and be like, hey man, they're stealing your content. I'm like, no, it is like when you take a look at the data, it's undeniable. Like they want us, it's not a flaw in our system that we're fat, sick, weak, and dependent. It is a function of our system that makes us fat, sick, weak, and
it's
dependent.
Driven by greed. That's actually what my great grandmother said. I always tell her, and I think I mentioned this one other time on the show, but I always have her tell stories to my kids because she didn't have electricity until she was in college, and she's 90 years old. And to us, it sounds old. But you and I both know 90 years ago, most people did have indoor plumbing and electricity in most places in the country. She was just out rural enough. She grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And she said to me, because I made the joke, I was like, we've got goats and all that stuff. And she goes, what do you use them for? I said, well, now they're just there if I need to milk them or shoot them and barbecue them. It's like that they serve a literal purpose, and she goes, nobody does that anymore. She goes, growing up, my dad made me save my money and buy my own cow so I could milk my own cow. And when I got married, I could take that cow and have it slaughtered and have my first year of meat put away in a freezer. It's just that mentality doesn't exist anymore. And she said, she said what we all know, the obvious. She said, just let the electricity turn off for 3 days and half America will starve to death, because if they can't go to the grocery store, it's that whole mentality. Where does food come from? Kroger, Publix, whatever, versus food comes from the ground, and it's harvested and it's processed and all that stuff.
These people can't cook, dude.
Right.
Like a lot of people just they flat out cannot cook their own fucking food.
That's right.
Like it's a travesty. Like kids graduate high school, they can name off 25 different genders, but they can't fucking cook their own fucking food.
Listen, I get asked all the time by some of my employees, and one of them was asking today. I came home and I made this cauliflower and carrot stir fry with chicken breast. That's it. Simple as it can be, right? So, you steam the vegetables, you chop them up, you make it good, you kind of stir them in the pot, you make your chicken breast. And I mean, it was the most satisfying thing in the world. Simple as that. But you're right. Most people they don't even think that way. It's not even a lack of skills. It's not even in their head. Like, I should know how to do that. Like, nobody's teaching that.
And and they're not even trying to teach them. But again, like I believe in his message. I just think that it's like kind of I know they can't address it because they're trying to win people over to wanting to be healthy, but that's not going to work, people. Like, you got to understand, like, we, for the last 4 years people have been just like pushed into this gluttonous, lazy, sedentary,
we've been told almost that is normal,
arrogant behavior of well, I'm fat. What are you going to do about it? Like, well, very honestly, we could fix that real quick. I could fix the obesity problem in America and the chronic illness problem in America in 10 years completely. You know how?
How do you do it?
They would have to pay for everything for chronic illness out of their own pocket. Yes. Any lifestyle-driven chronic illness needs to be paid. The treatment for it, the care for it, hospital visits for it, all that shit needs to get paid 100% out of the person's own pocket.
Yep.
I think people would be completely shocked at how all of a sudden people started losing weight because they can't afford to be sick. Like the only reason why people can afford to be in a state of living sickness, which is chronic illness, which 93.2% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. The only reason why we can afford to live as a country in a state of vast majority chronic illness is because people don't pay for the consequences of their actions.
That's exactly.
If we really, if you want to legislate something, legislate that insurance and Medicare, Medicaid only covers, if you're over 65, we'll cover you the whole fucking way. I really will cover you the whole fucking way if you're over 65. But if you're under 65, acute care, acute illness, that should be 100% covered. Like people shouldn't even need to reach in their pocket for that shit.
Right.
And we can make that shit happen with insurance companies and with our taxes if we didn't pay the 3.5 to 4 trillion other dollars a year as a people for chronic illness and mental illness. Right. And
well,
I know that makes me the mean guy. That makes me the mean guy for saying that. However, that would solve the problem because personal responsibility and reality are a motherfucker that always end up slapping people.
That's exactly right. I was just thinking, we have a really, really good family friend, and she is probably, I'm guessing she's a tall woman. Like she's close to 6 foot tall, which is not the average, right? And so she's big anyway, and she played sports and she was an athletic person, but 10 years down the road as a LPN and home healthcare nurse, she's not doing all that stuff as actively as she was, but she's gained, since I've known her in a decade or so, she's put on maybe 150 pounds. She is severely overweight. But my niece, and I just find it funny because we talk about the shame thing and, there's certain things kids just don't, it's no thing to them. Like they know it's not normal. They know it's not healthy. Right. It's not even about shame to them. It's just that it's not right. So they were riding around and doing something. And there's this funny story a couple of weeks ago, because my brother was mortified his daughter did this, but they were riding and she just looked at Hillary while they were driving around. And she goes, "Why are you so fat?" Like out of nowhere.
An honest question.
I'll say that Hillary's the type person you can have that conversation with. It's not like internally, it's embarrassing. Nobody's going to be comfortable with that. Even the people who are pushing it, they're not comfortable with it, because the question means something's wrong with you, period. I don't, for any of us, if somebody said it to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, okay. I'm going to be like, fuck you. Like, but it makes you think, right? So Hillary's response to it, and Hillary was part of joking about the story the other night, but she said, I had to admit to her, I just kind of like food, and it's like, but she was honest. And I do appreciate that. But the truth is, that's the conversation we're not having. Like, just admit it, and I was thinking about this today too, in relation to that. I've just come through this other round of this crap illness that I'm stuck with the rest of my life. And, I've gone through, but I'm back to working out and everything. So I'm having to recalibrate, like, what's my calorie intake? What's the expenditure every day? So I'm tracking that, looking at it and all that stuff. And I've been busy. But the other thing that I've done, because I have to, when I have this going on, is you cut out a lot of any processed carbs and sugars, which we should anyway, but you have to eliminate it. Like, it has to go, because I can stress my pancreas during that period of time, or it's just a bigger issue. Well, I've gotten now a month into the habit of not taking it in. So now that I'm back to normal, and one of the things that we say 1,000 times, when you detox that stuff out of your body and you get back into the flow, I have more energy than I can remember having in the last 5 years, because I gave myself the freedom, and I've always been healthy. I've never had the weight issues and all that kind of stuff, but I've always given myself the freedom to go there. Now I kind of locked it in, because I was like, I feel way too good to give myself something like that, no breads, which to some people, it's like we talked about last time. Mark could probably eat a loaf of bread. He's fine. It's just his metabolism.
Well, he has to
do certain things, right? And I eat a loaf of bread. The next day I'm going to wake up and weigh 2 more pounds than I went to bed. It's like the inflammation in me is more pronounced. So I've seen better things in me personally as a result of being sick, like deathly sick for a month. But you look at those decisions that the last couple of days I've had to do even my own internal reflection, going, my body needs to operate a certain way, and I'm healthier, happier, feel better, more energy. And my head is 1,000 times clearer most days.
Yeah. I would argue that most people, if they would just take a whole foods approach, it would change their life to a great degree. I'm not talking like, you don't need to be a zealot about it. Like, I probably ingest maybe 5% of my zealot.
I mean, I'm being honest right here. I do give myself some freedoms, but you can't look. Some people do need that hard totalitarian approach to how they handle the habits and things like that, and I appreciate that. And there have been times in my life I have to buckle down around that stuff. But the truth is, common sense. It's just common sense. Like, if you're not spending the energy, don't take it in. And if you're going to take it in, think about how you take it in. It's not like you don't have to educate people. They know a bag of M&Ms is not good. It tastes good. It feels good to eat it in the moment, but they know long term. You compound that though over decades and decades, you fuck yourself. I mean, it's common sense. We just don't be accountable to it. So you're exactly right. You start holding people paying for the shit they create in their own life, they're probably going to stop eventually. And you're right, it'll take a decade.
Well, here's what I find fucked up. Alcoholics have to pay for their own rehab. Like, society doesn't help them. It's all like any other addiction. And I think if we looked at it like from a very like just even conservative point of view, probably 50% of the population has some sort of disordered eating or food addiction.
Totally agree with that.
And I mean, because it's just out of hand. So I do think that, like I said, and Mark and I would love to help, by the way, Mr. RFK. We actually said make America healthy again first. But in reality, like, I don't know, like, if it's going to be that, I'd rather just use the name Make America Healthy Again and do our own thing, because I got to be real. The legislative part, the legislative part is going to have many, many, many battles, because you're talking about taking trillions of dollars away from people, from very powerful people. But none of it's going to matter anyway until we actually make population. Like, we need to get, and I know people don't like to hear this, but we need to get to the point where we're like, hey, you're fat, dude, lose weight.
Right.
To everybody. Everybody, like everybody. We need to start having the real conversations about shit. Like, I have something lined up for you. I wanted to I wanted to show you this real quick. And this is part of it, right?
Yeah.
But have you ever noticed the incredible correlation between, parents that are basically have main character syndrome that are obviously mentally ill? They're they're the majority of people that have trans kids, quote unquote,
Right.
because I don't even believe in trans kids, right?
Yep.
Check this video out. Like, look at this crazy ass shit. So hang on, let me get this restarted for you.
Hey, do you want to see your surprise? Yes. It's a bug and a rainbow. A bug?
This kid is too young to understand what the difference between boys and girls are.
Dear God.
And this woman is a motherfucking psycho.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, there's no other interpretation for that period.
Look at the eyes.
Yeah.
Look at the eyes of this woman.
Mm-hmm.
A flower, and then look, there's more. I know.
So I don't know if any of you guys are out there are parents, but if you talk to your kid like that, like, look at this, like with excitement in your voice, they're going to mimic you.
That's right.
Like, they're going to mimic your excitement.
Yep.
Unless you show them something really boring, they're going to mimic it. But this kid who doesn't know the difference between boys and girls yet, he's too fucking young. And if he does, maybe we should fucking, check their hard drives. But is obviously being raised as a girl.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but that is not a real thing. Like,
right.
If I can even understand a person wanting to be neutral, but this is you raising this little boy as a girl. And very frankly, it's abuse.
Well, somebody who's obviously in the space as a gay man. And I think about this, like somebody that's real close to me and my family, like when they were younger, you go through all those phases, I mean, I just wanted to be Steve Irwin when I was a kid. Let me go chase crocodiles and, get nearly kill myself doing crazy things out in the wild. Like that was my fantasy. And that's not how my life worked out particularly. It has in some ways, but not that way specifically. But this person in my family, like I was just literally telling the story about it the other night after family gathering. We were joking about it. But when he was about, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, somewhere in there, he idolized this woman in his life who he's big in music and all that kind of stuff. And she was his instructor and everything. And, you look back, it's funny because it's long enough ago that he didn't get it sucked into the wave of what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. But he went dressed on Halloween as her, like it was a character. And at first you kind of like, haha, that's funny, making fun of, this person who's a big personality in his life and all that. But the thing is it was a real character to him. And here's the thing. We didn't think it, and nobody in the family thinks anything of it. It is, and I still to this day don't. The difference is 20 years later, had that happen, a long tail conversation would have ensued, not only on social media, but across all kinds of friends groups and socially that would have said, hey, you might be a woman underneath that. You maybe need to consider transitioning versus being the gay man that he is today. Right. And maybe we've ended up, that doesn't mean somebody's going to end up gay. See, I get tired of that too. When somebody goes, oh, a little kid, a little boy or a little girl, tomboys or boys who, love pink or whatever, they're probably just going to end up gay. I'm like, again, preference of fantasy doesn't necessarily play into sexuality. And we keep overlaying all these things as if they're one, and they're not, and they're mutually exclusive. But the problem is, again, like you said, this kid doesn't know. The only thing he knows is girls have cooties, and that's all he should know as a kid that age. That's it.
So the thing is, like something you just said, kind of, when you look at it from like a macro standpoint, right? Yeah. There's a big difference between being gay and being trans, right?
Exactly.
Trans people, and this is why the LGB should kick the T and everything else out of their fucking group. Like you guys should just fucking remove them. And it's not that there's not good, I mean, shit, I had Nicole Powers on here the other week. She's a transgender professional athlete. And I've had Blair on. I'm going to try to have Bucky on. So like, I have no problem with people that are transgender at all. Especially ones that will admit that it is a mental illness. It is a mental illness. It is gender dysphoria. Yeah. And I feel for them. And I applaud their courage in doing something that has to be extremely, extremely hard just so they can feel like they can fit in better in society while not pushing it on anybody else. The problem that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years is that the T of the LGBT is trying to erase the LB.
Well, they're just trying to replace, and it's not just for us in the gay community. I mean, again, they're erasing women's rights. They're erasing. You know, we get into that where it's not just erasing gay history, gay rights, gay. You know, because you hear all the bullshit about, oh, you know, if it weren't for certain trans people and they go back to cross dressers, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different category and a whole different mindset. Like, granted, I think they've crossed some lines, but the truth is, it's not like RuPaul started his career to convince people to change their sex, and RuPaul didn't dick off. So
that's another thing too. Just to point out, by the way, all you people that say the world is so transphobic, RuPaul's Drag Race has been on like 20 fucking years.
Right. Will and Grace, Ellen. I mean, they were mainstream, and nobody. I mean, yes, conservative Christian evangelical world, of course, flipped out because the gay thing it's an edge. It's always going to be an edge. It's a faith belief thing, and it is what it is. I respect it, and I grew up in it. You know, I've talked about that a ton. I get it. It is what it is. You know, again, Queers for Palestine. You can say all that shit all day long.
It's the dumbest fucking shit ever.
It's so ingrained to throw you off the roof of a building, right? And the thing is, I don't take offense at that. I just know I shouldn't go there, you know, like I shouldn't be there and tell people, oh, I'm a gay man, you know, because it's not smart. But the thing is they've enveloped, and they haven't just the men and women's bathrooms, you know, the whole no balls in women's stalls thing is a good idea, but we, you know. Very good,
I've never heard that before.
So, you know, it's a good thing, but what we've actually have not talked about enough is it's eliminating the God-given right and freedom for children to just be children and grow up. And we fucking a generation of kids and telling them that they don't even know what imagination is. We're fucking with their imagination and creativity. That's this is the part we actually don't get into. Screw the sexuality component. Take that all out of the list, right? Because as an adult, you figure it out, you know, one way or the other. If somebody's confused and they fuck around with same sex, opposite sex, whatever, do your thing. But, you know, don't talk to me about, I don't need to know. Do your thing. But here's the thing. Take that out of the equation. What we've done is say you can't be imaginative and you can't live in a space where you can have a fantasy about being a different person or a different character. That's normal. We all do that. Like I wake up, even watching the election go through and you look at the leadership, like I have fantasies in my head of being given the keys to the USDA so I can fuck it up. You know, like I literally, like I dream about it. I'm a 45-year-old man and I still think about things like that, right? That's normal. And that's how we express and create and grow and expand and learn. And it inspires us and it causes us to have curiosity. And we're fucking these kids because we're telling them when they express that, that's it, stops here. And this is what you got to commit to. Then what the I'm telling you, man, we're fucking generations of kids, and it's not just the mutilation, it's not just the hormones. It's literally at the base level here of giving kids freedom to just be a human being and just shut the fuck up about it sometimes. You know, it's like, but you're right, it's abuse. So your mom like that, and you're exactly right as a parent, you know, as a parent, like you're exactly right with young kids. If you get excited about it, like my granddaughter is getting real close. She's what, 9 months old now, right? So she's growing up, but you know, she's kind of that phase. And the other night, Thanksgiving, she was kind of fussy for a minute. And you get in there and you're like, oh, hey, you know, and you kind of get that tone instantly. She's laughing and smiling, right? Because we influence their emotions, their thought process, because they're leaning into us to guide them.
They're children,
right? Yeah. So, but then when we lock them into these quote fantasies or role playing or things like that are so normal in the development process, we stifle their ability to continue to grow with creativity. And I'm telling you, we've seen it. You know, we see, you know, Elon talks about this a lot. How fucked up our architecture is today versus where it was 100 years ago. Like creativity and expression is dying. It's dying. If you could sell a banana with duct tape for $6.2 million, culture's fucked, man. That's not art. I'm sorry.
That's not art.
I do not care. Argue with me all day long. Fuck you, Sotheby's. You got your fee out of it, so you're going to say it. You got rich off of it, and somebody else did too. But $6.2 million banana taped to the wall is not art. Fuck you. Go to the Sistine Chapel and look at the shit that was happening 500 years ago that took decades to create. And the beauty of imagination, the creativity of the human mind. Like, it's just
these people. These people are getting it. Like I always say, it. A huge problem with our society is our culture. You know, we're very dependent upon convenience. Most people are extremely fucking lazy, and I know, like, don't call me lazy. Hey, I got a newsflash for you. Yeah. Unless you're on your feet most of the day, you're lazy. We're a species that was meant to be on our feet most of the day, walking, running, hunting, doing those things. If you spend most of your day, if you're on your feet for less than an hour a day, like if you calculate it out and you realize you wake the fuck up. You roll into your kitchen, grab your coffee, and then you get into your car. So now you've been on your feet for a total of 5 fucking minutes, 10 minutes if you showered and fucking got dressed. So you get into your fucking car, you drive, go pick up a sack of food, eat 2,000 calories, get to work, sit in your fucking cubicle the rest of the fucking day, walk to the bathroom once or twice, eat pizza for lunch. On the way home, you go through another drive-through to get your sack of fucking dinner. And then you sit down and watch TV. You've been on your feet for less than an hour a day. You're lazy as fuck. Right.
Well,
and so that hurts people's feelings too fucking bad.
I'm back to showing, I love to put up, and it's accountability for me. I could care less if anybody's impressed with it. Fuck you. It doesn't matter to me. You can make fun of me or you can think it's impressive. It doesn't matter. But when I post my workouts, and you know what it is? It's public accountability for me to show up because people start to expect it. They look for it, even if it's for comedy or they want to put me down. I don't give a fuck. It just motivates me. Right. So, anyway, so I was putting up today's information and somebody comments underneath, man, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Right. And I kind of respond to it, but it's funny. You made me think, like, I don't know if people can see this. Like, this is post-workout because I track on 2 different devices. Since I left the gym this morning, I'm 14,666 steps into my day. Right. And according to the Apple Health thing, and according to them, I've been standing for 17 hours today already. All throughout the day, right? So here was my response. I was like, you can say that, and talk is cheap, right? Like, it's because you're exactly right. It's laziness, so that's usually where that ends up. And my personal internal motto is deeds, not words. You got to put it to action. Don't tell me about it. Show me, And so let's get out there and do it. So this person, and they didn't mean it. It wasn't, I know it's a platitude. They were being nice about it. They were kind of passively giving a comment in what they replied to my post today. But it just inspired me. It's like, listen, if you're telling me, if you're on here and you have time to sit and scroll and type and reply to me, who I don't even know who you are. This person's got like 30 followers, I don't know who. That doesn't mean they're not important. Maybe they're hugely important in their world. We all are, our bubble, right? But I don't know who they are. And it doesn't matter if they know who I am. But my response was, look, I get up every day. I have 1 million kids. I've now got a grandkid that is in my life every day, responsibility. I have 19 animals that live in this house. I run 2 regular businesses during the day. And then I've got the nonprofit. We got all the things. You just manage life. I have to make time for my kids. I have to make time for my husband. I have to make time to take care of the animals. I have to have relationships, I have clients. And if I can get up and go to the gym and make time to be a healthy human being at 45 years old, fuck you for making excuses. Because that's all it is. Excuses. It's cheap talk, not action, because you won't take responsibility.
Exactly. Well, speaking of taking responsibility, we might as well segue into Joe Biden made the legacy media look stupid by pardoning Hunter Biden today.
Again and again and again and again. It's like,
just so everybody knows, I had no doubt he was going to pardon this kid.
Well, yeah, we all knew it was coming.
The biggest portion I find fucked up about the pardon is that he didn't pardon him. He pardoned him for over a decade.
Of why it's the largest pardon in presidential history. It covers any crime that could have been committed during that period of time. So it's not just the gun, the tax evasion, the little misdemeanor bullshit that's out there, right? It's a blanket pardon for anything in that window. Now, I'm not a dummy. A dude who's out there fucking prostitutes and smoking crack and doing all that, we know before 2014, the difference is it's a statute of limitations issue. The Department of Justice in most states, by 10 years, there's no way you prosecute. You can't bring it to accountability no matter what it is. So that people are like, oh, well, I saw all day from the last 24 hours. Oh, well, we'll just go before 2014. I'm like, good luck, because that there's almost nowhere in this country where you can prosecute 10 years ago, until lawfare, because they did it to Trump with that fucking crazy lady whose dog's name is Vagina. It's like, whatever.
Is it really?
Yeah. Like, it's just
Her
nuts.
dog's name is Vagina.
She named her dog Vagina. Like, it's just that says enough to me. Not to mention she paints all the trees blue and lives in the middle of the woods in this weird fucking mini house shack. It's just like, I don't know. Anyway, but the thing is, and here was the thing that stood out to me, because I am old enough, and this is what's interesting, because a lot of those quote influential voices that make a lot of noise on social media, even in the conservative MAGA space, right? They weren't alive 35, 40 years ago. These people are right at 30, maybe 35, and I remember the crime bill in 1994, and I remember the bullshit that was happening. And literally what he pardoned his son for this time, Biden wrote the crime bill in 1994, locked up, and this is the caveat. This is where I also think he makes the media look stupid. It wasn't just the pardon. He locked up tens of thousands of black men and women across this country for illegal gun possession, drug possession. Some of them will spend the rest of their life because of his bill. Mm-hmm. And it was targeting minorities. You can go listen to the damn speech on the Senate floor, where he literally said they're like animals. And he said the minorities in this country are like animals, and we got to get them off the street because I don't want them to rape my mom and steal from my daughter. And all of the guys, I'm almost quoting that verbatim. This is like what he said. And I look back and I'm like, can we also have the honest conversation that he exposed what a racist, bigoted piece of shit he actually is, and that he authored the shit that has locked up the minority that he then exploited to try to get votes for? The whole, if you ain't black, you ain't voting for me, or if you're black, you're voting for me, however that quote went. But I look back and I'm like, you just exposed what a racist, bigoted piece of shit you are. Not to mention this lying asshole that got kicked out of the 1988 presidential campaign for exactly that, lying to the American people, plagiarizing and lying about everything he does. And it's like, it's just whatever. It's Biden. Like,
here's a few more. Here's a few more or less. This is during the 2020 presidential debate. Joe Biden claimed that his son's laptop was Russian disinformation, and that the laptop was just used as evidence to convict Hunter Biden. So this is wild. Listen to this.
50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this.
So he knew 100% that what he's saying here is completely untrue.
Yep.
Like he knows for fucking sure that what he is saying here is completely untrue. That it is not Russian this is misleading the American fucking people.
Well, I'm looking. Keep talking. I'm paying attention. I'm looking because I have every fucking video from that hard drive. Because at the time when I was working in journalism and had access to people at the top level, I got a copy of the entire fucking Hunter Biden hard drive. So I'm looking. I'm going to find it. So just to give people. So if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Right. But go ahead. He knew.
Yep.
Five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
This is classic Trump. We have 4 days left, and all of a sudden there's a laptop. There's overwhelming evidence that from the intelligence community that the Russians are engaged.
I still think that the stories from the fall about your son Hunter were Russian disinformation at a smear campaign, like you said.
What a piece of shit.
Right?
This is good too.
Oh, this.
One with the president pardon.
What'd you say?
I said that Haitian hoe. Like, that's a whole thing for me, because there's that whole culture in Haiti, man, that, like, I'm telling you right now, the Haitian people, if she ever showed up there again, they'd lynch her in the street. Like, no question about it. Because
one with the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted.
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Okay. We go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no. And I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
But yet,
I don't just call that lies. You know what that is? That's verbal masturbation, man. It's just literally self-serving bullshit. Like, God, I gotta find this video. If I don't find it while we're on here, I'm gonna send it to you because it's nobody put this shit out. And I don't know that I could. I don't know that I would. I'd be breathing if I did. But anyway, I got to find this video of Hunter.
So this is CNN just admitted that Biden pardoned Hunter for all crimes for the past 11 years out of fear that his family be investigated by the Trump administration.
Right.
You know, I mean, here's
my
thing.
I have a lot of peace in knowing that should Cash be confirmed in the FBI, they're going to investigate it anyway. That doesn't mean they can do anything with it, but I think we might get some and I don't think we're going to get everything. I'm not an idiot. I don't think these guys have the complete, total, utter freedom, like, you know, JFK and all that shit. I don't think we're going to ever have the entire thing. I don't think. And you know, Trump did agree or disagree. I'm still on the line with this one. You know, agree or disagree about should he have declassified the entire thing? Did he just, you know, did he pussy out and not do it?
Yeah. Or
is it legitimate? Because the truth is, let's be honest, if there are people still living today from that situation, and not that it's not rightful, you put their life in danger if you expose those sorts of things. Not that they don't deserve it, but is it proper to do it at that scale, right? Like,
sure,
prosecute, arrest, and then out of the sanctity of human life at that point, because I'm 900% sure the trigger man's not still breathing. Like, it's, you know, we're so far past that. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think the trigger man's the one we're worried about today. It's all the conspiratorial bullshit. But that's the kind of stuff I'm hoping we just get some honesty, because we all know it. You know, we all know what happened over here. We all know that Hunter's wasn't, you know, the laptop wasn't Russian disinformation. We all know Trump's bullshit wasn't Russian influence and coercion.
Right.
We know these things for fact, and that's okay. We may never get to take a particular action, but if we can be honest about it, accountability starts to come back into the mix, right? So because when people realize I'm probably going to get exposed, they won't do it.
Right. They won't do it. Now, here's what I think about it. Too fucking bad. Like, I've heard Trump say that, like, well, to protect the people that were involved. I don't give a fuck. It's our information.
Right.
Like, this is where
it's just such a weird place to be, right? Like, Ruth, what's her face? You know, she's still living. The woman who was supposedly the CIA insider that was friends with Lee Harvey Oswald's wife, right? But she's like 90 something years old. Now, here's my thing. I have a compassionate internal for the basis of human rights. Like, I don't want somebody to just necessarily knock down her door and shoot her dead in her nursing home or wherever the hell.
Of course, get it away.
I don't think that's justice. Does she deserve it if it's true? Of course she deserves it. So leave her last however many months, years, whatever she's got left as a public shame, because that, like you said, just like with the obesity thing, expose it and destroy the foundation that gave them that life, because then you destroy a legacy, you destroy the lies, you destroy the falsehood. Now, again, if somebody did bust down a door and kill somebody like that, am I going to lose sleep over it? You fucking no, I'm not. I'm actually probably going to say justice. You know, I'm going to say all the things kind of opposite of what I just said. I just know, like, at the heart level, I don't know, man. It's hard for me because, and granted, I'm wired different, but at the same time, you're right. They deserve it. You know, whatever it is, you deserve it. You create it. You got to live in
the thing is, man, is because Mark is kind of a, like, he's like a real hopeful guy too.
Sure.
Here's where I differ from you two, right? Shit's got to get ugly for us to be free.
I do agree.
Like,
well, we didn't get here. We didn't get freedom to begin with without it getting ugly as fuck. I mean, that's just
well, it's gonna have to, because there's, like, just like I was talking about how people should have to pay their own way if they eat themselves into chronic illness. I believe that. It's going to suck for them. Are people going to die? Yes. And I'm not. I understand how that makes me sound, but at the same time, we're dragging all of society down.
That's right.
Like it's dragging all of society down. We will not make it if we stay like this. We will have a very serious population collapse because we're not producing babies. And
That's right.
for lots of reasons, which I almost just said some. We're on YouTube. Hang on. By the way, for those of you on YouTube, the last 15 minutes is going to be only on Rumble and on X. So get there now.
That's if I find this video. That's when I'll show this video. I'm not showing it on YouTube.